Day 7 of the trip. An easy entry into Canada. All we had to do was show a passport, answer questions, remove our helmets to show helmet hair, and we were in. That night's destination was Radium Hot Springs Hotel, and we sat down for another meal and made some quick friends with some of the other guests at the hotel. This was the view from our room as we looked out across a great mountain range. We all had rooms with balconies and enjoyed a nice evening with nice weather because we knew what was coming up was going to be wet.
What day is it? What day is it?
We're starting a new week.
New week.
Day one of the second week.
Yeah. We survived the first week?
Yes.
That's right.
How many miles have we done?
2,200.
2,200.
2,200,
Right?
yes.
2,200. How much further to go to get to Prudhoe?
2,500.
2,300.
23.
We're almost at the midpoint.
There you go.
Yeah.
What are we going to do today?
We're going to follow Brad. We're going to follow
Ice fields.
fields.
Whatever the ice fields.
Alabatha Falls.
Alabasta Fall. I can't wait to go.
There you go.
And then it's on to Jasper.
Banff,
Nice.
then
The
Jasper.
High Jasper Lodge.
Temperature
Brad, what are
today,
you doing today?
I'm following you. We're really in trouble.
High 60s.
Yeah, I think
Maybe rain.
a little rain, just to keep it interesting.
Lumberjack is all dressed up
Yukon
already. yes.
Canadian Yukon.
All right.
And did anybody get the bear spray out yet as a precaution?
So back on the bikes, this time with rain gear on and more warm clothing. We knew it was going to be a cold and wet day. That wasn't going to slow us down. So we headed north. We knew we were going to go between Banff and the Jasper area. We're going to see some of the resorts and some of the beautiful scenery and mountains. And we're ready for a good ride for the day. Our first stop was the Fairmount Hot Springs Resort, one of the famous resorts up in the area. And when we came in, we instantly met Percy, the greeting bear, and Percy's a pretty big guy. But we all three sat there and get to visit with Percy. There's a beautiful inn, old, historic, as many of these areas are. And, you know, when there's a big chair on the outside, you have to sit down in the big chair. We had lunch and then back on the road. Our next stop was along the side of the road where there were several waterfalls. All the water from the melting snow accumulates into the streams and large lakes on the side of the road and then drops in elevation and makes some very powerful falls at some point. This is an example of where the falls used to come through this rock face, and then years later it got diverted, so then they turned the old path down into stairs so you could go down and access the water. next stop was ice fields. Now, in the States, I believe we would call these glaciers. But the ice field at this stop, there was an elaborate building, cafeteria, a whole visitor center, and bus tours that would take you up to it because it was on the other side of the road. But we stopped and we looked, and it was an interesting sight. Here we are at the ice fields. There is an ice field. There's another ice field. In addition to all the other stops, there were also some beautiful lakes next to the road with some pull-offs and places to take pictures. So we stopped a couple times as well to get a nice reflection from a mountain on a lake. Makes for great pictures. Our next stop was Lake Louise, a very famous resort area, and also famous is the emerald-colored lake next to it. Just down the road is a very nice ski resort area that goes with Lake Louise, and the challenge was there were so many cars and so many people constantly just trying to keep the cars moving because there was a crowd that really wanted to come in and see this site. There was no place to park, and to get bus rides in, they were sold out for the day. But you know what? That's where it's convenient to be on a motorcycle, because a motorcycle can always find a place to park. So we parked them right there and then walked around and visited Lake Louise and took in more sights. It was an amazing place. We made our destination that night in the resort town of Jasper. Specifically, we were at the Inn Jasper, which is a hostel. Now, a hostel, we found out later, means a little less than a hotel. And when I say a little less, I mean no carpeting, no air conditioning, no soap, no shampoo, and very little towels. But that was still okay. We made it work. We crossed the railroad tracks that were behind the hostel, and we walked into Jasper. It was a very nice town, great restaurants, great opportunities to see things, and we got together and had, again, dinner and reminisced about the day. Glad that the weather had broken and it had gotten dry again and we were starting to warm back up. And we enjoyed an Indian meal for a change of pace. But the most amazing takeaway was some of the beautiful scenery we had seen for that day in Canada.